Oh my goodness. Welcome everyone to today's stream. Before I say anything else, happy National Aviation Day. It's August 19th. You already know what this is, and you already know what this is about. Really quick before I start talking about what we're going to be doing for now, let us introduce us again, in case you have no idea who we are. So my name is Nikhil. I am the president over here at Project AVIATE, and I'll go ahead and hand it off to Yuvraj.
Hey everybody, I'm Yuvraj. I'm the vice president at Project AVIATE, and I'm going to hand it off to Steven, who's an actual pilot.
Everybody, my name is Steven. I'm secretary of Project AVIATE. I hope everyone's doing well, stay hydrated, and pass it on to Calvin.
And I'm Calvin Lin. I am the treasurer of Project AVIATE, and I hope you all enjoyed today's stream.
Hey Calvin, is there a way to point your camera a little lower? All we see is your forehead.
Yeah, so
a little lower, sure.
Calvin's not only our treasurer, he's also not seen.
Sure. Okay, so I made it a bit lower. You want maybe even more?
Calvin, you are hilarious. Oh my god.
He looks like that one streamer, Nick Murph on Twitch.
Yeah.
Alright, so
yeah. So, yeah, here we are. So what you're looking at right here is the Douglas C-47 Skytrain? I think that's what it was called.
It's a...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the Douglas C-47, this I just grabbed this off of X-Plane real recently, got recently updated. And this is a really special plane. Let's first talk a little bit about what National Aviation Day is. It's August 19th, and this happens to be Orville Wright's birthday. And who is Orville Wright? He's one of the two Wright brothers that helped invent the first powered aircraft. Not the first aircraft. People were flying somehow, just on gliders. Yeah, and so that's, I think President FDR created this day, National Aviation Day, in remembrance of Orville Wright's birthday. And I think coincidentally, interestingly enough, the Douglas C-47 started service in 1939, which is the same year that FDR inaugurated National Aviation Day. So that's cool. And of course, since we're talking about a very special day for aviation, we're over here at the First Flight Airport. And Yuvraj will go ahead and talk a little bit more about this, but the First Flight Airport, that's literally what it's called. We're over here in North Carolina, and we're actually pretty close to Kitty Hawk, which is just south of here, if I remember correctly. And yeah, so this airport is pretty special. We're just going to be flying around over here, talk a little bit about aviation history, what's happening in aviation now, and just relaxing and celebrating this special day. So I'll go ahead and hand it off to Yuvraj as I try to figure out how to fly this plane, because I've not actually flown this plane much yet. And it's just like the Wright brothers. They didn't know how to fly their plane much yet.
Before I head into the history, do you mind showing us around the outside, Nikhil?
Of the aircraft?
Yep.
Sure. So the livery you see here, oh, by the way, livery is just the better word for paint scheme. Yeah, exactly. Paint job.
So, as you can see, this airplane, Nikhil said it was a military plane, the C-47 Skytrain, and it does seem to have windows and stuff. So what this plane originally was the Douglas DC-3. But with the onset of World War II, they had to modify it for military use, and thus was born the C-47 Skytrain. So yeah, originally this was a Douglas DC-3, and there's still a couple of them airborne today that you can actually fly in at special places. So yeah, that's just a short history of this airplane that we're flying today.
Yeah. Can I add something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the livery you see here is not the one that you saw in the thumbnail picture. But I think this is a cool livery, because it's like Yuvraj said, this was you said World War II, right? This plane was brought in from the DC-3. So this is actually a pretty interesting livery, because it shows unity in the world. We have the DC-3 World Rally 2020. So I thought that was pretty cool. And let's spread the notion of being a united world with aviation. Okay, that was really cheesy. You can keep going, Yuvraj.
Right. So the first flight that ever took place actually took place in it was actually on a beach in North Carolina, um, around Kitty Hawk, on a specific hill that's called Kill Devil Hill. So that's another interesting fact. And the first flight that actually happened actually was about 12 seconds long, where 12 seconds, that's obviously that's not much. You can tell. So the Wright brothers, they took off on a rail. They didn't have a runway. They had a steel rail on the ground on a beach, and it was kind of like the catapult on an aircraft carrier today that shoots F-18s out at sea. It was sort of like that. They took off. They gained a little bit of altitude and immediately came back down. It was 12 seconds long. So the airport that Nikhil is flying at right now, that's around the area where the first flight took place, and thus it's called the First Flight Airport. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. So the Wright brothers actually they were bicycle mechanics who had a bike store. They're from Ohio, actually, Dayton, Ohio. But they ended up coming to the beach in the Carolinas to test their airplane. So actually, if you go to Dayton, you can still visit their house. I've been there; it's pretty cool. They have the Wright brothers' actual porch um, that that they've left out there in Ohio, and you can go there and you can sit down, and it's pretty cool. You can actually sit down on the same piece of wood that the Wright brothers originally sat on one several years ago in Dayton, Ohio. They also have the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force in Dayton. If you're interested into that kind of stuff, I've been there, and it is frankly amazing. Any airplane that you can possibly think of, they have over there. They actually have a test model of the B-2 that Lockheed Martin actually used to test out the aircraft before it was put into service. They have F-20. They have an F-22. They have F-16s, F-15s, you name it. They even actually have a Blackbird, an SR-71 Blackbird, um, which was the which still holds the world record for the highest altitude and the fastest speed achieved by aircraft. So I'm just gonna be going on tangents today as I think of one cool aviation thing
And
after another,
yeah,
if you don't mind, Nikhil.
hey,
And feel
yeah.
free to butt in anytime. And if I might make a mistake or two, so please correct me if I do that, if you notice me do that. But yeah. So fun fact about the Blackbird,
Hey, Yuvraj,
it
wait, really
was
quick.
yes, go ahead.
I'm trying to find Kitty Hawk. Is it north of this airport or south of this airport?
I am not sure, but I will look it up because I know Kitty Hawk, but I don't know the airport.
Uh,
First
see,
flight airport.
so pilots do this thing called mapping their routes before they fly, and as you can see, because we're in a chill stream, we decided to be lazy. No, just kidding. The first flight airport is actually south of Kitty Hawk. Did I say it was north of Kitty Hawk before? I'm sorry. It is south of Kitty
No, I think
Hawk.
you said so.
Oh, but Kill Devil Hills is where the first flight happened, right? Or the
Yep.
first power flight.
Yeah.
And that's actually right where the airport is. So essentially, I just flew way past it. So let's go back there and see what Kill Devil Hills looks like, which is where the Wright brothers figured out how to get in the air with a propeller. And yeah, Yuvraj, you can keep going.
Yeah, so I was talking about the Blackbird. A fun fact: it was so fast it would fly at Mach 3, 4, and its purpose originally was to spy on the Russians during the Cold War, and it did its job extremely well. Um, and pretty much, it wasn't often that it was detected at the altitudes that it flew at, 70,000, 60,000 feet, at Mach 3, 4 speeds. But when it did, the Russians would shoot a missile at it, and if even now, if you look at airplanes being shot at and being attacked by surface-to-air missiles, SAMs, um, they have defenses, but they mostly include flares, which for heat seeking missiles, where they can distract the missile and have it explode away from the airplane. They also have radar jamming equipment and other stuff. The Blackbird's strategy for escaping missile was going full throttle. That's all it had to do. Just crank the throttle all the way, and it would just easily outrun any missile shot at it. And everyone seems to find that pretty cool because honestly, it is. I mean, think about it. You're just flying along and someone shoots a missile at you, and all you need to do to evade it is just push the throttle all the way up. Um, but yeah, that was pretty intense. So yeah, the early airplanes were actually they people didn't really see use for them because they were these dinky little machines that were pretty unsafe at first. Oh hey, look at that! Nikhil is showing you the I'm blanking on the word. The monument. There you go. The
Yeah.
monument in
Monument.
tribute of the Wright brothers and the first flight. I can't believe I forgot the word monument. Whatever. But yeah,
Sculpture.
that's around the airport. There's a little complex that you can actually taxi into if you
You could
fly in there in
taxi
a
into
little.
this? What? How?
I'm pretty sure you can get pretty close in a plane. I've looked at the maps.
Because the airport's over here,
There's a
and
yeah. There's the airport. You can see there's a path in from the airport.
yeah, we're gonna do a very low pass of this. Well, not low enough, I guess. Let's go.
That's gonna look cool. Nosedive. But yeah, the early airplanes they weren't exactly they didn't exactly catch on right away, but they did catch on, and when they did, they caught on big. So the first couple of ones were pretty unreliable and stuff, but as it got better, World War One was approaching, and people started using airplanes to manually drop bombs. So countries started buying airplanes to drop bombs. And when I say drop bombs, I don't mean carefully have a sight to look at the ground and go over it and open the bomb bay and have and release bombs. I mean manually carry bombs in your hands and then look over the side of the airplane and drop them off. That's how it worked in the early airplanes. But as time went on, they became more reliable, and by the time World War II came around, airplanes were in major use. Airplanes were used a lot. Then let me look up the exact number of airplanes used in World War II.
And yeah, as Yuvraj is doing that, I'll show you. I will now ditch the cockpit because that's what every safe pilot does, and show you. So, like we mentioned earlier, we're in the C-47, and what you can see is here's the cabin. There's nothing in it. I'm pretty sure they would have had artillery of some sorts. What would they put in
So
these
this
cabins?
no. This is even in modern aircraft, the cabins look pretty similar to this. The middle section would generally be for cargo because this is the C-47 and not the DC-3. This is a military configuration. So even today, if you look at the interior of a C-17 aircraft, this is pretty similar to what it looks like. It's a whole lot bigger.
What's a
Obviously.
C-17?
C-17
Are you
is
talking? Yeah, like in case.
the Boeing C-17.
Yeah, what is it?
It's a modern cargo aircraft for the military. Um, so you might have heard of the C-130 gunship. That's kind of the popular pop culture one. But yeah, the C-17 is a aircraft that was designed especially for being extremely versatile. It's a high wing cargo aircraft, so that's pretty cool. It's if you know what an Avro 100 looks like. I mean, if you don't know what a C-17 is, you probably don't know what an Avro 100 is. But if you happen to know what an Avro 100 looks like, a C-17 is pretty much like that, except bigger. And it has 4 engines. So the fun fact about those engines is that those 4 engines are pretty much identical to the ones used on the Boeing 757, which is a passenger aircraft, and those engines are overpowered on the 757 already. And the 757 only has 2 of them. So
Yeah.
you put 4 of those on a C-17, and that airplane can do some crazy things. If you compare the size of the airplane to other airplanes of its size and look at how much room it needs to take off and land, it's pretty shocking. So because of all this thrust that's available to it and the reversers, which can help slow it down, the C-17 really doesn't need a lot of runway to, move around. Even the turning radius for it to make a U-turn is so incredibly low. Um,
Yeah, I was showing a picture of it just now. You can see a picture of it on the stream.
Yeah. Oh, are you showing it off? 'Cause I don't have access to this.
Oh yeah. On you can't see it, but you can see on the stream. This is the plane he's talking about. It's massive, and yep, powerful engines,
So,
military.
so
Yeah.
although the C-17 is massive, it is still not the biggest cargo aircraft in the U.S. military. That would happen to be the C-5 Galaxy. Um, but yeah, the C-5 Galaxy isn't quite as cool as the C-17. It's
Really?
still pretty cool, don't get me wrong, but
Let's see.
it's bigger. Yeah, in terms of features and capabilities, I mean.
Yeah, the C5 Galaxy is the one that you can open the nose of the airplane.
Yeah, you can open the nose up and then you can open the tail
It's like a
up.
747.
Yeah, exactly, like a cargo variant of a 747, and you can have a hollow you can have how do I put this? It's like you can essentially turn it into a flying kite.
Yeah, I'm also
It's-
showing a picture of
yeah.
it now.
Yeah, the
Um,
C5 Galaxy.
You can open the, as Steven was
Open,
saying,
unbutton,
you can open
yeah.
the front door. It's, yeah, oh my god, that is fat.
Yep, it is thick.
You
Hold
can
on,
put
I'm
the whole
trying to
tank in
find-
there, so
You can fit. I'm pretty sure you can fit several tanks in there. But yeah, the C5 is intense, but the C17 is used more frequently for. I'm saying a lot. I'm sorry.
That's
the C17
okay.
is used more for cargo or more tactical operations where there's greater limitations. Hey, oh my god. In for our, when people researchers especially go to Antarctica, one of the only airplanes that they're allowed to fly in is the C-17, because it's one of the only airplanes out there which has the capability to land and operate on an ice strip without too many issues. So researchers going out to Antarctica down south, they use the C-17 a lot. It's very cool. You can look up videos of the C-17 doing short field takeoffs, unrestricted climbs. It's if you just look up C-17 unrestricted climb, you'll see how steeply it can climb at the peak of its capability, and how quickly it can get to its cruising altitude. It's completely insane.
Speaking of that,
That's,
can I see how quickly I can climb this? I'm curious now.
Sure.
All right.
Careful not to stall it.
That's probably definitely going to happen. Wait, why is this throttle not working?
I mean, stalls are fine if you can recover from them. But
Yeah. All right, here we go. We're going to pitch up like crazy. Actually, we should wait to get some speed first, huh?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So yeah, it's pretty cool how you had the DC-3, and then the C-47 Skytrain, which was one of the first cargo aircraft, and then over the years it's slowly evolved into what we have today, which is the C-17. So DC-3. Speaking of DC-3, So if any airplane has a name starting with the letters DC, it's made by a company called McDonnell Douglas. So this was one of the first cargo aircraft ever created, the DC-3, the Douglas DC-3.
And it's also the first one to be sent into a stall, which I'm about to show you. Just kidding, I don't know if that's historically true. All right, let's see the climb on this
But
thing.
pretty much, the Douglas Aircraft Company, it still makes cargo planes. Well, it still has cargo planes operating today. So
All right.
Douglas really has been in the aircraft business a long time, but the sad thing is it actually ran it ran aground and went bankrupt in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was actually bought out by Boeing. So they don't make any new aircraft recently, but a very significant portion of today's cargo flights operate Douglas or McDonnell Douglas aircraft. Not the C-47, obviously, but the DC-10s and MD-11s and stuff like that. The three-engine ones. If you ever see an airplane with three engines, the third engine being on the tail fin, on the vertical stabilizer, then you can immediately tell that it's a Douglas aircraft, McDonnell Douglas aircraft. But yeah, so they started with the whole cargo thing, and they really took it. They stretched it out over so many years. But yeah, some poor financial maneuvering got them in trouble in the late 90s and early 2000s. They had to be bought out by Boeing. And that's a short history of cargo aircraft.
Yeah.
So if you actually go to to the museum that I talked about a little while ago in Ohio, in Dayton, Ohio, the National Museum of the United States Air Force. You can actually take a tour of President Kennedy's Air Force One airplane, which is a Boeing 707. Uh, so yeah, it's pretty cool. You can actually go on to the same airplane that President Kennedy used to travel in, and several other presidents. But I'm just saying President Kennedy as kind of the highlight of the whole thing. And it's you'll see if you look at the paint job on that Boeing 707, it essentially is identical to the paint job that we have on the current Air Force One, which is a Boeing 747. And it was that paint job was actually designed by President Kennedy's wife, Jacqueline Kennedy, and it's pretty cool because before that, the airplanes that American presidents flew on were just they had some special things here and there, but in terms of looking elegant and being separate and fancy and distinguished, they just look like any other aircraft, and that was probably good for safety. But President Kennedy, when he became president, uh, his wife, First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, thought that the airplanes looked a little too bland, and she came up with this super elegant and beautiful design for the Air Force One that we still use today. That's yeah, so you can actually see all of that history at that museum if you're ever in Ohio. I mean, I don't know why anyone would ever go to Ohio, but I did.
What a roast. um, I think now would be a cool time to. That was really cool. I don't know that much about aviation history. That's interesting. I better do my research more. But I think now would be a good time to transition into what's happening into aviation today. And as you can see from this plane, this is not today. Well, I mean, unless you count the three of these. You said three of these are flying around?
No, I said a few. I'm not sure
Alright.
on the exact number, but I
Yeah.
will look it up for you.
I mean, that's okay. But yeah, so this is obviously not what planes look like nowadays. We don't like this. This is a very outdated design for the most part, and of
So,
course these
so,
cockpits are very much on the old side.
oh, so it's not three. It's actually 300.
Oh, really? That's
So,
actually a lot.
so the stats say that more than 16,000 DC-3s and military version C-47s were built in 50 plus variants, and more than 300 are still flying today. So that makes sense because it wasn't exactly a rare aircraft. Lots of them were built.
Oh yeah, this
It's
was like the most popular at its time.
it's like yeah, it's like let me put it in terms of cars so that people might understand. Um, so if you say that if 50 years later from today, you ask how many Lamborghinis are still on the road, and obviously they built so many, but they're still it's it's a quote unquote rare car to see around. But you compare that, and 50 years later, you ask how many Toyota Corollas are still on the road today, and the chances of someone having an access to a Toyota Corolla and like maintaining it for some vintage purpose, which I don't know why you would. It's a Toyota Corolla. Don't get me wrong, like, not exactly vintage material, but yeah, your likelihood of having getting your hands on a Toyota Corolla would be much more likely than having a Lamborghini and keeping it in tip-top shape for 50 years later. So this airplane is kind of the Toyota Corolla of its time. So there's still a lot of them flying around, and I call it the Toyota Corolla, but it's still so significant in terms of what it did, in terms of all the history and all the things that it has done for throughout various missions over hundreds of, well, not hundreds, over tens of years. Um, yeah, it's pretty cool. So here's a fact that we forgot to mention. Uh, so a lot of airplanes have nicknames, or even officially designated like fun names. So for example, the F-15 is called the F-15 Eagle. The F-14 was the F-14 Tomcat. The F-16 was the Viper, or another variant of the F-16 was the Fighting Falcon. Um, so this airplane, so like I said, the C-5 Galaxy, the word for C-17 is the Globemaster. It's the C-17 Globemaster. So the word name for this airplane, the DC-3 or the C-47, was the Goonie Bird. And
What?
honestly, yeah, it was called the C-47 Goonie Bird. Honestly, it's one of the coolest nicknames in aviation history ever. The Goonie Bird. Like, how cool is that? It's a Goonie Bird.
I don't know about that one. Not gonna lie.
I like it. It's a Goonie Bird.
It
Like
gives
it
us a
fits.
gives like a goose vibe. Like it's just
Yeah, exactly. And look, geese.
gooses.
I don't know. I'm losing my mind. I'm sorry. Uh, geese might not be objectively cool, but I love the name Goonie Bird so much because it just to me it just fits the airplane and the whole personality and the vibe of the DC-3. It just fits. It just fits, you know. Like if I see a DC-3 from the outside and someone tells me, "Oh, it's called a Goonie Bird," I'm like, that may not be the coolest name for it,
Does this give you
but it
Goonie Bird
fits.
vibes? Take a look at
Yeah,
this.
it fits. I don't know. I like
And speaking of fitting, we're
the
trying to
landing
fit
gear
in.
is
We're trying to fit through these trees because I didn't notice how populated with trees this
Oh my
area
God.
was. Oh my goodness, how do you even land here? I don't know if
What
this
what
plane can
what-
even land here. Let's see. It probably can, huh?
Oh, is this first flight again? Did you
Yeah, this
circle
is.
around?
Yeah, I'm doing a touch and go. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I
Okay.
know how to land this plane. This is a tail dragger. I've never landed a tail dragger. All right, let's see
Tail
this.
draggers are a little weird to land where
Hey,
you can't
excellent landing. Okay, now it's time
don't
for the
use
go.
brakes when you flip the plane. Don't use brakes too much.
Yeah.
Use reversers. Does this have reversers? I don't remember.
No, it doesn't. When was
Yeah,
thrust reverse a thing? Now I'm actually curious. This thing doesn't have thrust reverse.
let me look that up. That's a good point. I don't know the first aircraft with thrust.
And on the topic of thrust reverse, I mean, you might. I don't know if you've ever questioned, like, when you land, the engines get really loud, like the moment after you land. And that's actually because the engines are helping the plane slow down. So you can't just use the brakes, or your tires will literally blow up in fire. Well,
Well, it's
that's an
not- it's not the
exaggeration,
tires.
but
The tires can get hurt. It's
Yeah.
more about the overheating of the brakes.
yeah, it's the
If you
overheating
don't-
of the brakes.
So, actually, I've watched pilots explain this. A lot of airplanes today have auto brake systems
Yeah.
where you can set up and how intense you want the braking to be. So if you have a short runway or like weird conditions, you can go for maximum auto brake, and your brakes will be dying underneath you as they try to stop the plane. Or if you have a lot of runway, you have loads of runway in a tiny aircraft, you can set it to 1 and you can gently slow down and use up a lot of runway. But yeah, so even slowing down, thrust reversers help a lot. Don't get me wrong, but most of the braking, most of the stopping is done by the wheels on on an aircraft. So the main use for thrust reversers isn't actually to slow the plane down. Well, it sort of is, but it's more assisting the brakes because you can watch tests of the 747 being tested by Boeing, and the test used max brakes, like auto brakes, and then the pilot squeezing the brakes with his feet, and it used no thrust reversers. And like by the time the aircraft comes to a stop, there's a fire inside the landing gear because the brakes overheated so intensely. And obviously, that was a very intense test that Boeing conducted. So it wasn't like any lives were endangered or anything like that. But yeah,
There's
so
also
the
the
main point of thrust reversers is to help the brakes not overheat and catch fire.
you also have aerodynamic braking.
Oh, speed brakes, yeah. It's a good point, Stephen.
And this
So-
does not have any.
Not this. But like modern bigger planes.
Hey, but
today
you
have-
could pull up on your yoke when you land. If you don't have enough airspeed, that's also aerodynamic braking.
Oh yeah, technically, because this is a tail dragger, you could use the elevators. So the elevators back here, you see these? Okay.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I do in the Cessna.
Yeah, those can be your fake speed brakes. Well,
Yeah,
not
so-
fake speed brakes, but you get the point.
actual speed brakes. You can just to help slow it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, in modern planes, if you ever land a plane and if you look at the wing, you'll see these flaps, these tiles pretty much pop up like that over the wing. And what they do is they disrupt the airflow over the wing, and that essentially destroys lift and all the additional drag from having plates plowing air out of the way. All that additional drag helps slow down the airplane too. So when with the auto brake system in the cockpit, pilots also arm the speed brakes, and what that means is when the plane touches down and the landing gear feels the weight of the plane bear down, there's a sensor inside the landing gear which lets the plane know, oh, we're on the ground. And what that does is it hits the it hits the speed brakes. So if the speed brakes are in the armed position, it'll push the speed brakes up on its own, and you don't have to worry about it. And it does the same with auto brake. As soon as it detects that the airplane's landed, it starts applying the right amount of brake pressure on the wheels. And some aircraft, mostly Airbus, I haven't seen this in common Boeings. I'm not sure if the 787 or the 777 have it. I'm pretty sure they don't. I should probably look this up. But
Have what?
Airbus aircraft, they often have this thing called auto reverse, where
Whoa.
what that does is, like I said, with the same sensors in the wheels that detect the landing, it actually opens the thrust reverser panels for the pilot, so the pilot doesn't have to spend time pulling a massive lever and can focus on kind of, keeping the plane on the center line instead. So a lot of these planes, all the pilot has to do is land it, and then the plane stops itself on the runway. It's pretty interesting, yeah. That's auto reverse.
Yeah, and so thrust reverse is basically, you probably all seen it if you've ever looked at the jet engines. When you touch down, you see this flap like just open, like as if the engine's falling apart, which it's not, but that's the little flap inside the engine that redirects air forward. And a little bit physics intuition here says that you're pushing air forward really fast, you're going to slow down.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing as moving a plane forwards. You push the air back, your plane goes forwards. You push the air front.
Yeah.
You push the air forwards, your plane goes back.
Newton's third law, you've probably heard of that. Every action equal opposite reaction.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the way it works is the engine, it has a panel. It has panels on the sides that when the thrust reverser is activated, the panels move back and kind of block the thrust from being pushed backwards, and instead redirect it around the side of the engine to go outwards and forwards. And that kind of complete mess of aerodynamics creates insane amounts of drag, which is obviously it's not good in flight. To actually efficiently fly a plane, you want as little drag as possible. But when landing, drag is your best friend, and anything that creates it is going to help. So that's how thrust reversers help. So if you're ever on an airplane and you're watching an engine, and the pilot lands, and then the engine kind of opens up, and you see like a cheese grater panel on the inside of it, that's the thrust reverser.
Yeah.
So it's not always a cheese grater panel, but a lot of airplanes, especially Boeing's, the inside of the engine of the thrust reverser, it looks like a cheese grater panel. It's pretty funny. And then some older Airbus engine reversers, they actually have little panels that just open up like a flap on the engine and block the insides. But yeah, that's how you stop an airplane. Hey Nikhil, do you think later on we could pull out a big jetliner instead of a C-47 and show them?
Oh, yeah, I might as well just do that now, since we're talking about modern airliners anyway.
Right.
What do you want me to load up in? We got an A3.
737 should be good.
Okay, let's go ahead and load that up. This is the right file, right? Yeah, okay. Where should we go? Like what? You just want to go Bay Area again? What people recognize?
San Jose. Southwest 737 at San Jose. Something realistic.
Let's also bring back a classic livery. So
Yeah.
if
Old
you
school 737
Southwest, so Southwest operates Boeing 737s exclusively, and they you might remember you might have even flown them. They used to have all these yellow planes, these yellow colored airplanes.
Did you
And
ever look up at the sky nowadays and you see a purple plane flying around, or like a red one? It's always a Southwest 737.
it's
No
mainly
doubt.
blue,
Yeah, what were you
right?
saying?
Blue and red, yeah.
It's blue, purplish. You know the deal. You
Yeah.
see them.
This paint right here, at least with this livery right here, at least in X-Plane, it's to commemorate Herb Kelleher, who was I think he was a key person over at Southwest. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, not just a key person. He was the co-founder and then later CEO of Southwest.
So,
I'm gonna fly him around.
is it cool if I tell you guys an interesting story about Southwest?
Go ahead.
So pretty much, Southwest has this very amazing like business culture at the airline, and a lot of employees working for Southwest love it because Southwest has never actually furloughed an airline employee for just economical reasons. They work that way. So Southwest uh they would obviously fire people if if they did bad things on the job, but just a lot. I'm losing my words and I'm losing my mind. I apologize. uh but yeah, being fired is pretty common in the airline business for pilots especially. And once a pilot is fired, they start at a new airline. Say you're a captain at one airline and you get fired and you have to start at a new airline. You don't get to start as a captain. You have to start as the first officer or co-pilot again,
Wait,
and
this
you have to
happens
build
even
up from there.
nowadays?
Yup.
A
You have
lot,
to
or
start over. Yeah, so a lot of people they fly for an airline and they get to the rank of captain on like a medium small size airplane like a 737 or an A320, and then they come across a bigger airline which is hiring pilots for bigger airplanes like the 747 and stuff. And these poor people, they have to give up their captain rank just because they want to fly a bigger plane on longer routes, and they have to start as first officer again. But it's so
You're not
worth it
just
for a
giving
lot of
up
people.
like you're not just giving up your captain role. You're also giving up all your money because you're gonna be paying.
Right.
You're gonna
So
get paid the least amount once you switch airlines.
exactly,
You're going
exactly.
back to a first officer and you're gonna get like 50K
Yeah.
a year
So promotions
from like
don't transfer.
150.
That's what we mean to say.
And you gotta work
Promotions
all
don't
the way back
transfer.
up on the at the new airline.
Mm.
yeah, and that's actually really pronounced nowadays. So on the topic of what's happening in aviation now, coronavirus is happening. I think that's the first time we talked about coronavirus at all on this channel. But yeah, coronavirus is being a very big bully to the aviation industry, to say the least.
Yeah.
But once
Oh,
once
yes.
COVID actually, so we're due for a vaccine really soon, and at least in my opinion, I think we'll be recovering not very soon, but pretty soon, like in the near future. It's a near future thing, and once that happens, at least if you look at FAA predictions, commercial air travel it's probably gonna come back like crazy again. Well, once people are a little less scared of flying, and then demand for pilots will ramp up once again, and pilot shortage has actually been a recurring problem almost every year since forever, or is that like a more recent development?
Essentially.
Yeah.
It got good, but then like every time the airline business starts getting good, something comes in the way and stops that growth. Every
Recession, fuel price. Wait, what was the oil
No,
crisis?
no,
Yeah,
the
the oil
fuel
crisis.
crisis came first.
Yeah, the oil
And
crisis
then,
came first.
right. So at first the planes weren't reliable enough, and then World War II happened, and then the Cold War and fuel crisis came along, and then 9/11 happened, and that hurt airlines a lot. People were scared to fly, and literally people were so terrified. And I mean, I don't can you blame them, right? It's not even their fault. But people were so terrified to fly that airlines actually lost a lot of business and had to lay off a lot of people. And then as people started regaining their trust, 2008 happened and the world went under. And then after 2008, like 10 years later, 2018, 19, the whole industry was finally starting to recover. Things were starting to look good for pilots. And then along came corona. And now it's basically a roller coaster. The whole industry. It's
Not
kind of a
only
mess.
not only is the aviation industry a roller coaster, but my flight simulator is now a roller coaster because it refuses to load. So I'm gonna have to quit the simulator real quick. I'll get that started up again. It's gonna look really weird on the stream because I've set it to a different resolution. But give me one moment. Should be back soon. Okay, let's see if I can figure this out now. All
Oh hey,
right.
I just looked at this. Steven actually very helpfully linked the video to the 747 test I was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in the chat. So pretty much. Oh, I was going to talk about that interesting Southwest story, and if you look this up, I look, I could tell the story myself, and I would do an okayish job. I would probably skip a lot of details and butcher it, so I'll just tell you about it, and you can read up on it. If you look up Southwest arm wrestle Google,
What?
but yeah, there was a the Southwest applied to get a slogan. I don't remember what the slogan was for their company, but apparently there was this tiny aviation company, I think in Indiana or something. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this. That had the same slogan, and they got into legal dispute over who could have the slogan. And instead of hiring lawyers and going to court and having a big mess, what they did was the CEOs of that airline in Indiana, the tiny regional airline in Indiana, and Southwest, they had an arm wrestling match and to see who would win and see who would get the slogan. But one of the CEO of, I'm not sure if it was Southwest or the tiny airline, but one of them was extremely old and the other guy wasn't, and obviously the young strong guy won. But later on, like after that, they just decided that they were cool and they both started sharing this slogan, and they both got to keep it. So Southwest has always had this pretty interesting way of doing business, and it's paid off very nicely. Even during COVID, they haven't laid off employees.
Really?
People love working in the office. Yeah,
Wow. How are they even still alive?
they just put all of their planes out of work. If you look at if you look at Victorville Airport,
It's
Victorville,
Victorville. Oh, by the
Victorville,
way,
yeah,
if you guys don't know
Southern
what Victorville
California
is,
Logistics
really quick.
Airport.
Yeah, really quick.
Yep.
Victorville
Mhm.
is one of the two major airplane graveyards in the United States. I think there might be more, but I
Yeah.
know there's
Please
two.
check your quarantine script
So the actual
folder.
name of the airport is called Southern California Logistics Airport. It's kind of outside LA, and like airlines from all over the world that have seen less traffic due to COVID
Sorry,
have
wait,
parked
really quick. Sorry.
on
Before you
this.
keep going, hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, you may have just heard my simulator scream. Please check your quarantine folder. That's a simulator thing. But make sure you're quarantined and staying socially distanced. Okay, anyway, Yuvraj.
Your hand sanitizer, exactly. So now, right now, if you look at Southern California Logistics Airport, if you just go to satellite view, on Southern California Logistics Airport, and you zoom in all the way, you'll see all of the airplanes that have been stored for now, all over everywhere. There's just everywhere you look, there's airplanes, and along the tarmac, there's just a whole horde of 737s,
What did you just say?
Southwest 737s.
What did you just say?
There's a whole horde of Southwest
No,
737
before
planes.
that. You
Ah,
said the
shoot.
one curse word that
Oh
we do
no.
not
Oh
allow
no.
on this
The
stream.
apron. Apologies. The apron, not tarmac. Apron.
You
Tarmac
better mean
is
that.
asphalt. Tarmac, roads are tarmac too. I meant apron. Apologies.
Tarmac
But
or
yeah,
non-existent.
Nikhil, I'm gonna send you an image. I hope you can. Do you think you could
Probably. Show it on the stream.
stream the image through
Yeah.
Discord? Okay, let me just screenshot this and send it over. So this is a very small chunk of the airplanes that have been kept outside for COVID. This is definitely not all of the Southwest airplanes, but you'll see what I mean. This is at Southern California Logistics Airport.
Are you putting it in the chat?
Yep. I think
Okay.
you could open the image and then show it off.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'd have to. Why don't I do this the easier way? Let me just quickly add. Is it that? Nope. Nope. No. There we are. Okay. Here you are. So this is that's the Victorville.
Yep, that's on the apron at Victorville. So you can see some on the runways and some on the apron. All those blue planes, those are all Southwest planes. All of them are 737s. They might be different variants. You'll come across different variants of the 737, but Southwest operates exclusively 737s, all of them, and these are just a small fraction of all the ones that have been put out of business for now because there's significantly less amount of traffic, passenger traffic that airlines are coming across.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me.
you can see all of it right there.
Yeah, and this is and there's so many planes being grounded right now that even the graveyards aren't enough to store all of them. You can see in major airports. I know in Europe, if you look at Heathrow, Frankfurt, you got planes being stored, or you were having planes stored on the taxiways, even taking up a runway, like one of the
Yeah,
runways.
some
It's
airports they
crazy.
literally shut down runways, and you might think, oh, it's just a runway. How many planes can it hold? Well, a runway is pretty much all runways that handle planes of these size are about, or well, yeah, they're several miles long. They're about 2-3 miles long, because about a little over 5,000 feet is a mile, and then yeah, a little bit over 2 miles in that case. Most of these runways are over 2 miles long. So think of a big patch of 2 mile road, big. It's about 2 miles by 200 feet wide. These big runways that we're talking about, and they're chock full of airplanes, just
I could
planes
probably find a
sitting.
picture of it. Let me see.
Yeah.
Uh, I wonder
So
if I could search up
actually, they range from
quarantined
like the average,
planes.
like 10,000 foot runway, 10,000 foot by 10,000 foot runway, kind of like the ones at San Francisco.
Oh, dang it. I can't search up quarantined planes.
Quarantine planes.
What do you do? Ah, here we go. Here's one. Well, this is a. Let me show it on the stream really quick. Let's get rid of that. You can. Huh? Why is it still showing the? Oh, that's so funny. Hold on.
What's
Give me a second. There we are. Okay, yeah, so what you can see here is a picture of a bunch of deltas. I think if you're a little bit of an aviation nerd here, you've got a 757, an Airbus something. I think these are all
See,
Airbuses
there
on the
you go.
right, Boeing's on the left. Oh, that's so funny. I think these are all Boeing 757s and 767s on the left, and then on the right, it's a bunch of Airbuses? Yeah.
Yeah, the first one looks like, yeah, these are A320s, I think.
Yeah.
A3, A320, 19, 18, 21. That general family.
But yeah, you can see it's crazy.
The worst part is this isn't even all of them.
Yeah.
You can see more in the back, the bigger ones.
Oh yeah, huh? Those have more 7.6s over there. There's some 7.27s too. Or no, they're not 7.27s. They're MD-80s. Yeah, McDonnell Douglas. Hey, remember McDonnell Douglas? Same manufacturer.
I thought these were DC-9s.
So DC. See, the
They're
funny
essentially the
thing,
same
they're
thing.
the same, but
Yeah,
I
they
don't
are the
know.
same.
They have a different name scheme.
But
I'm not
like,
sure.
yeah, I thought Delta had DC-9s. I'm not sure. I might be wrong. But yeah, it's pretty sad what's happening. Just airplanes parked everywhere, no flying airplanes. And let me tell you a little thing that is kind of like the golden rule of airline business. The worst thing for an airline is not. Okay, let me put it this way. The worst thing for an airline is a plane that's on the ground.
Yeah.
The plane that's on the ground isn't earning any money for the airlines. And if you don't know how corporations work, they're based around the human concept of greed and getting more. And obviously, they don't like it when airplanes don't make money, because they're kind of pretty expensive to own and operate. So um, they want airplanes out there flying passengers and making money.
United.
So
One.
even like an airplane that's flying a little bit empty is, I'm pretty sure it's more preferable to an airplane not flying at all in terms of airlines making money.
Yeah. That's why I've heard that some of them are actually just flying just for the sake of keeping their planes in the air, because it's also bad for the plane structure itself. You need
Yeah,
to keep them
exactly.
flying, otherwise the maintenance is going to be terrible on those
Use it or
planes.
lose it.
And yeah, so
So
what we have here after
that's why this
oh
sucks
yeah.
so bad. That's
Yeah.
why this hurts so bad, because all of these planes are just sitting there. And it's not just that, oh, they're not making the company any money. It's just they're kind of hurting the airplanes themselves too, and could have been flying, but hey, COVID safety before airplanes, huh?
I guess so. And speaking of an empty plane, here's an empty plane that we're in right now. It's the 737 that took me like 5 years to load, because
Ooh, try doing the Autoland today, butter it.
again,
And then,
let's see. I
no,
need to
that
make
way we
sure.
can focus on showing them the stopping, the plane stopping systems.
Oh yeah, sure. I have to first
If
put
it's
in
if
the
it's going to
frequencies.
Autoland, then we can go outside and we can look at the speed brakes and the thrust reversers going at. Oh, so I tried auto landing the 737 on my own, on my sim at home. It
Uh-huh.
worked great.
Oh, nice. And the X737, the EADT.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a flight computer that's operational, but it can auto land.
Yeah. I'm just reloading the sim from now 10 nautical mile approach. If y'all
Yes.
remember nautical mile, that's the superior unit of distance. No, I'm
It
kidding.
takes into account the curvature of the Earth,
Yep.
which actually comes in play when you're flying a plane or when you're on a big boat crossing oceans. So boats and planes actually both use nautical mile. That's how it started with boats. Nautical.
Yeah. I'm just setting the
Oh.
plane up right now because.
So here's another airplane history fun fact. The first airplanes that actually started carrying passengers were big seaplanes, and because they were originally labeled as flying boats, so that's why the captains on those airplanes wore the same uniform as a captain in the Navy, and that uniform still stuck. So if you look at an Air Force pilot's uniform and an airline pilot's uniform, they'll seem noticeably different because an airline pilot's uniform is essentially the same as a Navy captain's uniform, because that's the origins of where it came from.
Yeah. I'm trying to set this up. This is quite fun. Ooh, you know what I could do? So,
Yes?
you probably know, well, if you live in California, or rather, if you live in the Bay Area, it is very clear and sunny. Just kidding. It is absolutely gray and depressing outside because of all the
And it's
fires.
orange. Everything is orange. I don't
Everything is orange and the sun is red, and you can't see
still live on
anything.
Earth, not
Let's
Mars.
let's see if we can replicate. I think I can do real. Actually, let
You
me.
have like
I,
wildfire smoke.
I can't add
If you live
wildfire
in San
smoke.
Jose, check evacuation orders because some people are getting evacuated.
Yeah, make sure y'all are doing that. Let's see if I can inject the weather in here.
Hey,
Right.
if you fly to San Jose, would it actually show the smoke?
Well, I don't think it would right now.
It should show haze. I'm trying to get it to show some haze, because that's what it's supposed to be showing right now. I don't know why it's not loading into the sim. Weird. I wonder if this. Oh, there we go. Well, we're sort of getting some haze, but it's not actually that much. All right, but what I'm doing anyway over here is setting this plane up for the approach. And you can see I'm just following the little... I'm following the little pink diamonds over here. Because the pink diamonds are your friend when you're trying to land. Also, I'm not sure
You're
what's
not
happening.
streaming on Discord, so everything we're seeing is a little delayed.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because my sim stopped. Yeah. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the auto land and watch this run by
So the
itself.
auto land is mostly used when conditions are really bad in terms of fog and visibility. Pilots are generally encouraged to land the plane manually, but yeah, we're gonna use auto land right now so that we can go on the outside view and explain how the
Explain.
explain. Oh wow, I didn't even realize. Okay, explain how the airplane stopping systems work, which is the speed brakes, the thrust reversers, and the auto brake.
Yeah.
Okay, once you have the thing set up for auto land, do you think we could let's show them the auto brake knob and where it is and how we set it up.
Yeah, really quick. It wasn't working like 5 seconds ago, so I just need to set it up
The thing
right.
I realized on the 737 that I have is to activate both Autopilot 1 and 2 for approach mode, you need to have the glide slope right in the middle. Once you get there, then you can activate both and have it
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, you have to. You can only activate the localizer first. The otherwise your glide
Yeah.
slope will go absolutely
Glide slope,
crazy.
exactly.
And what you
So
can
see
see
glide-
now, like a few seconds ago, you saw this green text that says you see the green text that says land 3. That means it's auto landing, but before it said single CH, which just
Single
means
channel.
yeah, single channel. Only I have 2 buttons here for the autopilot. You need both if you want the plane to land.
Set up the. It's about to land. So let's set
Yeah.
up the auto brake quickly and then move outside.
Yeah, so the auto brakes are set to setting 1, which is the weakest auto brake strength, but because San Francisco is a really long runway.
The RTO option is for rejected takeoff, which is if you're taking off. And oh wait, we can always replay this, huh? Never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right,
the
come on,
RTO
let's get some flaring again here.
If you're about to take off and you decide, oh no, there's an emergency, we can't take off, it'll actually, you pull the throttle back and it'll activate the brakes to help stop the plane from taking off if you need to. That's what the RTO button does. But yeah, that was a nice flare, perfect landing.
I'm not too sure how I actually felt about that, because it looked like it was about to slam the ground at first, and then it kind of flared last
Oh, no,
second.
it's just a very big runway. That's why.
Oh, I didn't even show you the thing I just did. If you see this, that's the thrust reverse. That's the giant lever Raj was talking about a while ago.
Yeah, on 737s, pilots have to yank it up right when the wheels touch down, and it becomes like a lot of stuff that they need to do. So on a lot of Airbus airplanes, it automatically opens the thrust reversers.
Let me show you a view that you're familiar with. You can see.
Think we could go farther back, like behind the wing?
Yeah, I have both views. So
Oh.
you can see from the front. You can see from here. You'll see
Oh, this
how,
is
the thrust reverse in action. Yeah, let this touch down. Yeah,
So
see
we
you see
obviously
the
opened the wings, right? Oh no, actually we didn't. There it is.
you see the
On the inside, you can see the cheese grater that I was talking about.
cheese
earlier.
grater, and then and then your aerodynamic braking or speed brakes over here.
Those are the tiles that I was telling you about, how they pop up and help stop the plane. So obviously that's drag, and it ruins the airflow over the wing, so it stops producing lift too.
Yeah. Now I'm actually curious. You said that the Airbus can auto reverse. I might try
what
that
I
sometime.
have is- Yeah, so see if you can auto reverse on the Airbus. Do you have an A3? Oh, you have an A319, right?
I do have an A319, but we are approaching the hour mark.
Oh
and
shoot, yeah.
We did we should, but we can just stick around for a few minutes and not dump you with aviation history and aviation things.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times people don't like listening to people rant about history, so I kind of kept it light. I didn't want to go too deep and bore you guys.
Yeah. But this is basically, if you ask us, this is kind of what we're doing to keep cool, I guess, sort of chill. Well, I shouldn't say we're chilling out during quarantine. So we're all seniors in high school, and college apps are around the corner. You sort of need a way
Almost done
to.
with my college app. Well, actually,
Huh?
I'm done with mine.
You're done already?
Yeah, there's early admission, so I'll probably submit in the next month or so.
Wow. With your essays and everything?
No, Embry-Riddle doesn't need an essay. They can't accept an essay. They ask you 2 questions, which is, what do you see yourself as in the future? You are limited to 250 words, and then the other question they ask is, your hobbies, like your personal life.
Okay, so wait, so you're not applying anywhere else?
I'm applying to San Jose State. That's the only thing. That's the only one
So
I'm applying
just
to.
Embry-Riddle and San Jose State?
Yeah, for Embry-Riddle, I'm gonna do both Daytona and Prescott,
Okay.
because I don't mind being in 120 degrees.
You're gonna be
Not
Florida.
joking though.
It
Not joking.
feels like 120 degrees in my house right now. So,
You know,
Today was bad.
Yeah.
It was nasty in terms of weather.
this past week I haven't felt hot. Like it feels normal for me.
yeah. Well, I think we'll just go ahead and end the chill stream for now. Our
I
next,
think I should start getting ready to
yeah.
evacuate because I got an evacuation warning.
You got an evacuation order. Ooh.
Yeah, all my friends did too.
Oh, really? I don't think.
Start,
Nah, I
I should
didn't.
start packing up my stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, that calls for the end of the stream. I'm not sure when our next chill stream is gonna be, but it'll be random whenever we feel like
Play
it.
next Wednesday.
But
Something we forgot to mention.
uh-huh.
Well, I think we did mention it, but we should probably say it before we bid goodbye.
Uh-huh.
Happy National Aviation Day, everybody.
Oh yeah. Happy National Aviation Day.
That was mainly the reason why we did the stream today.
Don't forget to stare up at the sky. Well, not now. You probably can't see anything.
Pretty
But
smoky. Don't want to go outside right now, but if you can see planes from your window, have fun.
and yeah, no, it's a special day to be looking up at planes. So hope you all have fun with that. I hope that was not too bad, getting your fresh dump of aviation. And tune in for our next up and away lesson, which will either be this Saturday or next Saturday. We've yet to announce that. It's getting good. It's getting pro level. So we're all hyped for that. All right, take care, everyone. Have a fun time.